Hello, and welcome back to another coffee talk. Do a face mask, or cook yourself a really nice dinner, or get ready for a date, or I don't know, go for a walk, something like that. I made myself a vanilla decaf coffee. Cheers. This mug is massive. It's literally a bowl. I reached out on Instagram, and I'm going to answer based on those answers, the questions that came through. Not a lot of them are questions. Some of them are just like full on topics in general. So I'm going to do my best to answer as many as I possibly can without blabbering too much, which I'm not normally very good at. So I will do my best. I've got to start. Okay. A lot of the messages that came through were like catching up on life, kids, mental health, goals, work, travel plans, how much our lives have changed, generally catching up, just like a quick, let's start with a quick update, life updates. How are we doing? Genuinely out there, how are we? How are you doing? Is everyone hanging in? Is everyone hanging in okay? Before jumping into today's chat, I want to say a huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's coffee talk and also for helping me actually get started on my quilt patchwork memory blanket. So I have been meaning since Christmas to start a patchwork blanket with all of my kids' baby clothes. So I have had this project set off to the side, but I've felt overwhelmed by starting the task because I had no idea where to start, no idea what to do, what materials I would need, how to actually turn clothes into a patchwork quilt blanket. Along comes Skillshare, and not only is there a full class that I can take, but there's actually 3 different options. Well, multiple actually, if you want to get into any kind of sewing, any kind of making, clothes or putting together anything of the sort, blankets. I specifically looked up how to do the memory quilts. So there were 3 classes for me to choose from. And the one that I chose because I find the teacher to just be super sweet. She's a teacher and she sews and quilts blankets. But Skillshare is actually one of the largest learning communities that you can join. And there are classes on everything you could possibly think of, whether you want to use Notion to up your productivity, or you want to learn more about how to edit videos or start a podcast, or you would like to learn how to, fix your home or do DIY projects, like anything you could possibly think of, you could look it up on Skillshare and there is likely going to be a class to learn that skill. There's classes from film, illustration, design, productivity, anything you could possibly think of, and it's led by professionals in those fields. So whether you want to take a class to up a skill for a hobby like I'm doing, or maybe you want to do it for your career, learn how to do side hustles or skills on the side that you can turn into a profit, or again, just do for the sake of fun or for a memory. Now, I am specifically looking to work on a creative hobby solely for the fact that it gets my eyes off of screens and it gets my hands busy and my mind concentrated on something. And at the end of it, I have this beautiful piece of memorabilia for both of my sons and both of my kids as they get older. So that's why I'm choosing this creative project. But again, whether it's entrepreneurship, work, film, there are so many classes on Skillshare. So if you're looking to be more creative or learn a new skill, definitely check it out. The first 500 people to use my link in the description are going to get a free month of Skillshare to try out. So make sure to click that link and give Skillshare a try today. And again, a big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's episode and helping me get started on my blanket. I just ordered all of the materials that I need or didn't have yet. I posted something to Threads and someone wrote back to me. Ever since, it's sat in my brain. This little seed has been planted in my brain, this thought that I can't get past. And I can get past it. It's not necessarily blocking me or anything. It's just like it sparked some curiosity around the notion. I had posted about if you've got love in your heart, if you've got like there's so many, my brain. I'm gonna step back twice and then I'll step back forward to the topic I originally started with. So bear with me here. Follow along. I believe every single person, more or less, has manifested on the planet at the time that they manifest for a specific reason. You exist in this time, in this place, for a specific reason. What is that specific reason? I don't know. You don't know. I've now seen through motherhood how interesting of a concept it would be that you come with your why, your soul comes coded for why you're here and what you're meant to do, create, overcome, learn, evolve, etc. Except when you're first put into the little meat suit that allows you to have these experiences in the 3rd dimension, you are given a clean memory card. Your soul is coded, but your memory, it's a fresh bank up there, open slate, right? And that's why our experiences, like, it's a bit of both. It's walking the line of free will and also destiny, because it's walking the line of your soul and your brain and your experience as a human being in the third dimension. So the reason why I say that is because I truly do believe that every human, more or less, came to the planet with immense potential. And the only way we can unlock that immense potential is to follow our unique DNA code, soul code. I'm using like really fun, these are the types of words I really like that resonate with me, but you could literally change this into anything, like just being true to yourself, just being authentic to who you are, following your heart, following your gut, following your, like, what you feel your purpose is. And it doesn't need to be all like deep and spiritual either. Like just having the desire to fulfill a specific purpose is enough of a reason to see that as your calling, right? So taking another step back towards what I originally started with this thought. I said I wasn't going to babble, and here we are. I had posted to Threads, whatever you're here for, there is literally no better time than to do it loudly. Sing loudly and radiate whatever it is that you're here to do with your energy. And do it loudly, because I really do think the planet really needs it right now. And the reason why I feel that way is because there is a specific thread of existential dread that comes with unlocking that feeling. And the reason why the comment was interesting to me was because, in a very kind way, I forget exactly what they said, but if I'm not lazy while editing this, I'll put it on the screen. They said something along the lines of like, okay, but also like log off, go outside, go hang out. Basically, in a really nice way, it was telling me to go touch grass. And, I still think my point stands. I really do believe that regardless of whether it felt like really pivotal times, which I really do believe that we are in pivotal times right now, I think a lot is going to change. What? I don't know. I don't have a freaking crystal ball. I don't believe in being like necessarily psychic, or at least I could tell you my hunch, but my hunch is going to be created on my own life experience. I guess this is my life update. This is where my brain's been at. I think that the world or society, or the life as we know it as a society and living in the modern time, I think a lot of changes are about to happen very quickly, very rapidly. I have no idea what those changes are, hence the existential dread, hence the like anxiety that comes from how do you prepare for what you don't even know is coming? You can't. You literally can't. So that leads me to this feeling I'm having lately of like, well, if you can't prepare, then you might as well sing and dance as loudly and as fun as possible right now, because it hasn't happened yet. Whatever changes are coming, they haven't happened yet. Or they might be happening and we're just like frogs in the pot theory, where it's just the temperatures are changing so slightly that we're not really noticing until it's all changed. And I would say that's true. Even just look at how quickly AI is being implemented everywhere you look. And everyone's using it. And the people that aren't using it, like I told that again, I'm going to have that chat. I promise you I'm having that chat. It's just so much to unpack. But also the other truth, there it is. There's my thread. The other truth that he made is also valid. Was it a guy? Staying grounded, going outside, literally touching grass with your feet. I mean, it's snowy here, but I mean, just doing anything takes you out of that suck hole, that overwhelming tornado, and coming back home to yourself. Yes. That's my life update. Said I wasn't gonna babble. Here we are. So there's 2 here about self-love. Also, my hair is crazy today. I did not style it, and the struggle is still real with my hair. So I apologize in advance if it's looking, I don't know why I would apologize. I apologize to me in advance if I'm going to edit this and I'm like, girl, do your hair. 2 different inputs within these 2 pages of questions. One says, how can we manifest more self-love into our lives? And the other says what self-love means, really, not what social media pictures it to be. When you think about, and it is hard to think about a time now before even YouTube, what your self-care was, what it looked like. It was probably pretty simple, like go for a walk, wash my face, paint my nails, things like that. What social media pictures self-care to be now is is intentional, be it a byproduct of a different intention, doesn't matter. It has become a profitable word, self-care, because if you pitch the idea that self-care means that you need XYZ products, you need XYZ services, you need XYZ steps of a routine, then all of that equals consumer. And I'm sure, like, I'm not saying anything new. We all know this, but we are all treated for the vast majority online as just solely consumers. And that gets manipulated. Again, I don't think people are like intentionally, well, some people are, but I don't think some girl making like a self-care routine, or like, I don't think me in the past making a self-care routine, or a girl on TikTok today making a self-care routine is sitting there being like, I hope people watch this and it makes them feel terrible, and it makes them feel like they need to spend money, and it makes them feel like the steps they already do aren't good enough. I'm sure she's making it. I knew I made them back in the day and still make them. Like, anything I make even today is like, I hope that this comes across as aspirational, as inspirational. The problem is, as a society and culture, what we have decided or labeled as a collective, and I say that collectively doesn't mean that individually you agree with this, because I don't agree with this either, but collectively we have used really disappointing things or examples of what it is, of what to aspire for, of what to be inspired to strive for. And again, on purpose. Like, that is literally why that's capitalism. That's capitalism 101, is make it seem like the most aspirational thing you could, or experience you could have as a human being on this planet, is to have a lot of things and consume a lot of things and be limitless in your ability to consume. Do what you got to do to make some money. And if you can't make the money, then open all of these credits where you will just end up paying interest for the rest of your life on all of these things to give yourself a feeling. Coming back to the original question, how to bring more self-care into our lives in the truest essence, in the truest sense, it's to recognize that self-care is a feeling. And yes, by all means, the experiences that we pay for can give us certain feelings, whether it is like, I love nothing more than going for a good massage. I had originally planned to go to the spa for my birthday because that did feel like caring for myself, like treating myself. Like, I think treats are good, but treats are only treats when you don't have them every single day, when they are a once in a while thing. And the feeling that you get from that treat comes from the duality of, like, if you've been going hard, like I've been going hard lately. Now I feel like this is coming across as me being like, let me play my fiddle, but more so to say that I've been exhausted, like emotionally, physically, spiritually. I've been so freaking tired. And so for me, the dip that made sense in duality would be to do something really big and nice for myself, like go to the spa. But everyday self-care, genuine, day-to-day maintaining your self-care, it's a feeling. And the great thing about feelings is that all feelings exist within us. And that's why we can experience them. So you can give yourself permission to have the feeling of self-care, which is really just self-worth. And if you thought of yourself as worthy, what would you do in a day? How would you treat yourself in a day? Because that is self-care. If you treat yourself as a worthy person, not if you treat things as worthy, it's if you treat if we treat ourselves as worthy and not external things for their worth. Like, treat yourself for your worth. You don't need to consume worth to be worthy. You know, you already are worthy. So you don't have to like consume your worth or put yourself in a bad situation to consume the illusion of worth through products and routines and high maintenance things to let yourself feel like you're a high value woman, person, period. There are a few coming in about motherhood, the new adventure that is motherhood, the good, bad, the ugly, anything motherhood related. What's my update, I guess, with motherhood? Because that's the only frame of reference I can really go by. Every day, every single day, I feel like I'm like reinventing myself or reinventing, and perhaps that's why I'm partially so exhausted, but I'm trying to reinvent my systems pretty much every day. Not actually every day. It's more like every few weeks, every week right now, because I'm trying to find a way to do it all. And that comes from just like a very pure intention of the most important duty for myself is to be their mom, is to be their main primary caregiver, their primary provider, their primary teacher. And at the same time, in order for me to do that, I have to also, two things. One, stay true to myself and stay true to my nature. And a huge aspect of myself is creating. So even if I had the means where it was like, I don't need to bring in an income to provide for my boys, I would still need to create. So I love creation. I love podcasting. I love vlogging. I love writing. I love art. And my art is very much through like words and feelings and content. And so I think I would still do that. But I also do, part of like fulfilling my duty as a mom is also bringing in an income and bringing in a sense of stability for my kids. And so that also means keeping a good home for my kids. And also the only way I can do all of those things is if I am healthy and if I have energy. And the only way that I can stay grounded and be able to ride the waves of toddlerhood and ride balancing babyhood and toddlerhood is if I'm grounded and I have moved my own stress off my body so I don't pass it on to them. Like I'm literally every single day, I'm trying to balance all of those things. And some days it makes me cry. It could make me cry right now, but like I'm not letting it through, only because it's so real. It's just so, that is existence, is it's trying to balance all of the things. And it is especially motherhood, is because like you're not just trying to balance them for yourself anymore. You're trying to balance everything for the betterment of your children. And it's tough. It's hard because I feel split in so many different directions every day that I have to be so intentional about centering myself over and over again throughout the day, centering and grounding, centering and grounding, centering and grounding. There's a lot of threats at the door that are constantly trying to hijack my nervous system and putting me into fight or flight. Just even the overwhelming stimulation and sensations of balancing so many things, it leaves me in a state of fight or flight. So hence the constant need to ground and center and like just focus on the now, focus on right here, right now, and not try to put so many stones and steps ahead of myself. But yeah, the threats are there, like the non-existent bears. I don't know. I love bears though. I don't want to blame the bears. I can't even think. This is the other part of mom/postpartum. It's just like my brain is kaputs. Like systems they're trying. Every cell up there is trying so hard right now, but it is also split in a million different ways. So, and also probably making milk for the next feeding. So it's just, yeah, there's a lot of like stressors. There's so much stress, actually, truly, genuinely in my life right now. Like as I literally hold my eyebrows. I saw a video where it was like, do you ever stop and notice the way you're holding yourself? Whether you're resting on a frame and you don't even realize it, or you're like holding your temples or your eyebrows or covering your mouth. Like our bodies are so smart and they're always telling, you know? So interestingly, I'm sure maybe you can see just how stressed I am and how much without going into details, like just how much I'm going through it, but carrying. It might be a better way to put that. So yeah, motherhood is being stretched in a million different ways at once, mentally and physically. It's a lot of physical. It's a workout. Motherhood is also an entire workout in and of itself. And then on top of that, trying to stay centered and grounded, and also make sure that I'm not running on depleted. I'm not running on empty, which requires me to fill myself back up and recharge myself. So hence the vicious cycle of the modern day mom and person also too. I think that can be relatable even if you don't have motherhood as one of the things you're balancing. But God, we love them. Aren't kids the best though? Like you're so cute. Like you're so cute. I could eat your cheeks. And I eat my toddler's soggy snacks when he hands them to me. Like gut twisting, fall to my knees, madly in love with them. Like that does make me cry. That is motherhood. Okay, what else we got in here? Oh, all my babies sleep. Sorry, just one last little dip into motherhood, because all my babies sleep. I was obsessed with the first 8 months. Again, I know every person chooses different. Sleep is killing me right now. Killing me, because it's not even just like constantly waking up, which I've been doing for over 2 years because I basically went from breastfeeding my first straight into pregnancy, straight into doing it all over again, which I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. That is one thing I will say. Not that I mean, choose wisely. Choose for yourself when you want to have kids and how close apart. But one thing that I am now as a mom of two and under, I see the light. I see the light because my second born is starting to sit up now and he's so much more interactive. So they're starting to play more and there's a little, like I can actually give a little bit of distance as long as he's like in a secure seated, you know, supportedly sitting somewhere, just so that nobody's like, what, girl, you just leave your kid just with your toddler and leave? No, I do not do that. But I just mean more so like I can sit back and have a coffee while they're playing. And I'm like, wait, this is great. They're besties already. So like, oh my gosh, in 6 more months when he's a year, don't want to wish it away, but also I can feel it. I can feel how much they're just going to play with each other. And then I'm going to have a little bit of a window back. And so that since having 2, that's the first time I've been starting to feel that little bit of like, oh, wait, here we go. I can see it now. The little bit of the benefit, like there's trade-offs for having kids close and further apart in age. One of the trade-offs or benefits for those trade-offs, it is exhausting, yes. But then they're close in age, not that age. That doesn't always really matter. I know that, but like they'll hang out, they'll be besties. You know, they're learning a lot of the similar things at the same time in the next 2 to 3 years. So that part's cool. And back to the sleep thing. Yeah, my neck, my back. I won't keep going with those song lyrics. Kinked out my back and my neck from baby wearing and from sleeping between 2 babies. And so, yeah, don't know what to do. I've run through 3 different sleeping options. I've tried different things. We're just figuring it out right now, but I don't think I'm going to be able to keep going the way that I'm going because it is like wrecking my neck and my shoulders and my sleep and my energy. So sleep is a whole can of worms in motherhood. How to not have afraid. Okay, I think they mean how to not be afraid of sex and falling in love. You hit the jackpot when those things intertwine. When you can fall in love with somebody and be physically intimate with them, jackpot. It sucks to say. I don't want to be this person. I'm definitely more of an optimist than a pessimist, but I do think that it can be really hard to find that level of connection because it requires such deep vulnerability that doesn't matter gender, doesn't matter relationship status, it doesn't matter. Like that level of vulnerability is really, really hard to stay grounded in. So it's so understandable, especially in the overwhelming times that we live in, where it's so much easier to get like a safe sense of dopamine or, you know, serotonin. I don't know, oxytocin, the things that get released when we fall in love, the hormones that get released. I'm not a scientist. I don't know if I even just said that right. I mean, just more so like the energy, the rewards that sex and love give us. We have created so many shortcuts in the modern age that it's actually rare to find sex and love. True, genuine, respectable, honorable, I love you so much, soulmate love and sex. And so to not be afraid of it is to not be afraid of that level of intimacy. However, just because you're not afraid of that, this is like the catch-22 with love, is that just because you're not afraid of that level of intimacy, or maybe you've done the work to not be afraid of that level of intimacy, doesn't mean that you are just going to unlock that level of intimacy in somebody else. And so, it's tough. It's tough. Love is tough because even when you do the work, it's hard to find other people out there that have done the work. Yes, I do truly and honestly believe that like life can put you into situations and into pairings with people that either highlight to you the work that you need to be done or unlock the necessary tools to do said work, or you do the work together. You both unlock it together and you work on things together. But the reason why it's so scary is because it's so vulnerable. Both sex and love are so vulnerable to just fully expose yourself. That's literally what it is. You're exposing your heart through love, like that energy center within you, which is again a very centering thing. So nobody wants to fall in love. Nobody wants to lose their balance in love because it feels like giving your center away, your center of gravity, your power away. I definitely know from having kids It is like the truest expression of that, of feeling like my heart is actually, that quote where they say your heart is walking outside of your body. It is. And that is a lot of power over me. Like if something ever, heaven forbid, ever hurt my children, it would hurt me. And that's not something that I can protect myself from. That's love, right? And so that is a very vulnerable kind of energy to experience. It's also one of the most beautiful energies that we can experience on the planet as human beings, in my opinion. And sex is it's kind of like the physical, we're talking on the soul level with love. And that's like the physical, the physical dance of love. That's kind of corny, but it is. It's like sex is also exposing yourself fully. Sex feels a little bit more like exposing your ego, because it's, no, not really. Let me backtrack on that. It's exposing your body and your body. Yeah, that's what it is. It's exposing your body, and your body is the home of your soul. Your body is the home of all of your essence, all of your energy, all of your trauma. And so sex requires a lot of vulnerability too, especially like good, connected, in tune sex, not just like going through the motion sex, So how to not be afraid? I think you have to work on that level of vulnerability with yourself until you bump into the right person where that level of vulnerability makes sense, or is I'm going to stop myself from saying it naturally happens with somebody else, because I also don't think that's the case either, especially if you have any kind of like attachment wounds or anything, because then you could have done a lot of vulnerability work with yourself, and then you meet somebody or you get around somebody, or even in the relationship you're already in, being vulnerable still feels hard because it's scary to trust other people. But I do think that in order to do that, to not be afraid, is like you work on that vulnerability with yourself, and hopefully with somebody that loves you. You work on being that level of vulnerable, and they work on being that level of vulnerable with you. And you don't have to like dive into the deep end of vulnerability. Vulnerability is one of those things that you give pieces of your vulnerability away to people that earn them. You don't just expose all of your like most potentially hurtful places to everyone, because not everybody deserves that much of you. So maybe that kind of goes back to the sex thing too. But at the same time, like, you can also scratch an itch. I don't know. Where do I stand on it all? I think follow your arrow. Okay. Doesn't matter where I stand on it all. It matters for me. It doesn't matter for you. But I guess to close out what I'm saying, work on that level of vulnerability with yourself. And then if and when you're working on that level of vulnerability with somebody else, you're allowed to give it in waves. You're allowed to like literally let the tide go out, be a little vulnerable, then bring the tide back in. And then you kind of you ride that wave and that tide back and forth, and someone continues to earn your trust, and vice versa, kind of like the infinity wheel, until finally one day you look up and hopefully you are in love and getting laid. I love these questions, and there's so many good ones. I feel like I could start a full series on the questions you guys asked. Let's see if there's like one last good one to end on, although that was a good one. I don't know why this one's calling out to me, but how can we show love and kindness to ourselves and others this year? And again, there's threads of that through what we've already talked about. There's another really good relationship question here. There's some relationship questions that I feel like I didn't even dabble into. How to show love and kindness to ourselves and others this year. The only reason why I want to bring this one up, did I screenshot? I'm going to do it again. Is, we don't even need to dive too far into this, but just, how can we just do it? Just be kind. Just be kind to other people. Just be kind to anyone you come across. We all freaking need it. And yes, I know, go outside, touch grass. The world isn't that bad. Maybe. Feels like it though. My inner temple is saying, hey, some shit seems off here. So go outside and just be nice to one another. Be nice to the people in your community, and be really nice to yourself. Because modern living isn't like, our bodies are not made for this shit. I know I keep saying shit. Someone told me that it was like unladylike to swear, especially now that I'm a mom. But I'm sorry. This is how I talk with my friends when my kids aren't around. He's sleeping. He also is 6 months. He's not going to know what shit means. Okay, 2 relationship questions, but my camera's going to die. The first is how to prioritize romance when you're both so busy. Romance doesn't have to be elaborate, but also it depends on like your love language, right? So if you don't know what your love language is, there's a test you can do. There's 5 love languages. It's like quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch, and gifts. And Out of those 5, when you know what your love language is and what your partner's is, and you share those things with each other, you can do small little acts of those love. That is, to me, that I literally, it's that simple. That's romance to me, is when someone knows my love language and they speak to me in small ways, even in my love language. You can make cheat sheets, okay? Because this is another thing that I've done before. I've made the cheat sheet that's literally like, please, when you walk by me, I don't know, graze my hand, give me a hug, kiss my head, like touch my butt. Like, please do that, because it makes me feel loved. And in return, like that's literally romantic. That is romantic. And in return, if like their love language is acts of service, it's like, I will sneak like a little treat into your lunch bag for work, or I will do something small, like just a little act on their behalf. Like if I was driving your car, I would leave gum in the compartment, like little tiny acts of service like that. It doesn't need to be grand gestures. Romance does not need to be elaborate and huge. Just little acts of love, especially in their language towards each other, back and forth. They can be small throughout the day. That's how you keep the romance alive. Feeling like I might be in the wrong relationship. If you were across from me, I would say, what makes you feel that way? And that would be your answer, because whatever it is that's making you feel that way, like, I mean, the fact that you even feel that way would probably tell me automatically as a friend. I'd be like, yeah, odds are you are, if you're even questioning it. Not to say that like when you're in a happy relationship, you can't question it. Everybody goes through ebbs and flows, and there are times and periods and seasons of life where you question things, but your reason for why would be the most telling. And I don't know your reason. So I would say, what is your why? And if your why is something like, I don't know, things just don't feel the same, like, you don't have to give up so easy. I mean, again, it comes back to like, are you both willing to work on that vulnerability with each other and do the ebbs and flows and tides and expose more and more of yourself to each other and work on your love languages together? Because if so, then maybe you're not in the wrong relationship. You're just going through a season where you both need to evolve in this area of life. But if that's not an option, then you might be in the wrong relationship. And that's easier said than done. Someone can just say it to you. Yeah, you might be. Leave. It's not always that easy. Just be kind to yourself and like really imagine if I actually asked you like, why? What would your answer be? And then sit with your answer and pretend I gave you that why. Pretend I said, I'm afraid I'm in the wrong relationship, and then I told you your why for my why. What would you tell me? Has anyone seen that trend that's like, what would the crowd be screaming at the screen if your life was a movie? So thank you for sending in the most amazing questions. Again, I feel like I could have done a full series on all of the questions asked in here. I'm wishing you guys an amazing day. I will chat with all of you guys in the next coffee talk. Bye, everyone.